Hi all, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to show you the IMF World Bank. They have been accused, and this is the president of Belarus, who has said that IMF and World Bank have offered him a bribe, $930 million. As you can see, he's the president of Belarus. Up till now I haven't even heard of that country. Now to do these lockdowns he has to impose these 5 restrictions, which are imposing extreme lockdown on his people, forcing everyone to wear face masks, imposing very strict curfews and a police state, and crashing the economy. He would not accept the offer. He reckons this is not a conspiracy. Now this runs in comparison with what I've already been saying in How to Crash Capitalism. So the IMF and World Bank pretty much, as you know, run with the merging of banks and everything else, run the show. And this is the problem when you globalize a world, then you impose restrictions when you give out loans. And this is what's been happening, is they've been giving out loans to these countries, and the result of this is where we're at right now. So thank you all for subscribing, and we can expose this. We can expose what's happening in the world. Thank you all. As you see from that video, thank you for subscribing to my channel also, and thank you for those who like my videos. I'm trying to work on one a day. It's quite difficult to do. There's not much happening in the world. There's no wars. It's kind of Indian skirmishes, that kind of thing. Well, today I wanted to get back into a video that wasn't very successful. I started out, had quite a few videos, had a camera and just did my own vlogs and got some content out there, and didn't really have any viewers at that point of time. Now, my first video, or one of my first videos, was How to Collapse Capitalism. Now this is part 2, How to Collapse Capitalism. And with this lockdown, we're doing a really good job of it. Now this previous video was 5 months ago, and everything that's coming true of what I was saying is coming true. And in 5 months, it's a very fast period of time, because these people are fast tracking IMF, World Banking. As I said before, these relief packages, this money comes from somewhere, and I think the money comes with the intention of collapsing the economy, and that's part of collapsing, doing a world collapse, and getting towards a world currency, which is probably a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, is a possibility. We don't know. And so we're entering this vaccine scenario. As you know, Mark of the Beast is a possibility, because why would you do the whole world in a lockdown right now? And why would you get Jerusalem setting up a Messiah in a temple right now? We don't know who the person is, but they reckon they're going to reveal the person that they think will be the Messiah. And so they had to set up a world government for this Messiah. So this guy has to have everything rosy before he's going to rule this world, this anti-Messiah character. So the reason I say he's an anti-Messiah, you got the Jews calling it Messiah and the Christians calling him the Antichrist, because it was predicted in the Bible that this would happen. And so Jesus has come and he rose up to heaven. He fulfilled the scripture, but then the Jews didn't accept him, and then there's these stubborn Jews. Most of the Jews probably did accept him over a period of time, but then the race changed, and the ethnicity of who a Jew was changed as well, because a pure Jew, there isn't really a pure Jew anymore. They let their children marry into another culture, and then they come back to the Jewish culture, and over a period of time, the Jewish tradition, the Jewish people haven't really kept a pure line of their Jewish descendants of Abraham. They haven't kept that pure line going. And there may be a few out there, but there's not very many. And if they are, we don't know where they are. There could be the Antichrist is coming from a purebred Jew, possibly. It's a possibility. So here we are, we're entering this collapse of capitalism right now, where we're collapsing it. We've done all the right things to get to this point. We've brought in immigration from other countries, and the immigrants have pushed the prices up of the houses. As I said, in New Zealand, you can get a good house for $1 million, and it's still the case. Even in this lockdown, you think prices would come down a little bit, and one thing, there's still a demand, because there's still homeless living in motels. I live in Hamilton and Frankton there. Went up to where the toilets were at night, and there are people outside the cars, and went up there another night, and same thing. And I realising that these people live in the cars. I didn't know who they were or what they were doing, because I was just using the rubbish bin outside the toilets, and people are living differently now. People are living in cars. That would never have been the case in New Zealand 10 years ago. There was the odd homeless. There was the odd homeless person living in a car because the rents in Auckland were high. But the rents in Hamilton weren't high, and you could live here relatively cheap. But now things are changing in this Western country, because we're the bottom of the Western countries. But they've really pillaged this country. $4.8 million, 4.8 million people. And they're able to push their prices up and push our cost of living up, so that what we were earning has doubled, but buying power has gone down, because a house is 20 to 30 times more than what it was worth 15 years ago, but the wages have doubled. So, for instance, you could buy a $400,000 farm 15, 20 years ago, now 20 million. Then you could buy a house in Invercargill for, my sister bought one for 23. That's probably worth 350,000. And the prices haven't changed that much in Auckland and Hamilton, because they were relatively high, but because of the internet, and people can buy, we can get a house in Invercargill because the internet has informed people of where the cheaper housing are. So people go to where the cheaper housing is, and that's still a city down there. And you can still live relatively good, pretty bit colder, that kind of thing. But people are willing to buy a home. So that has pushed the prices up, because if you have an Aucklander coming down to Invercargill, pushes the prices up. So you have your immigration going to Auckland, and the Auckland immigration leave because they can't afford to live there anymore, but they can afford to pay for a better price for a home, and pushes the prices up. And the banks have been part of it. The banks have been the reason for house prices to increase here, because they've allowed this to happen. They've allowed the house prices to, because they're the ones that back the loans. So all these people are in loans. So we're looking at a financial collapse, and all these people have mortgages. So what do you think is going to happen? All the banks are going to come down, all of them. And there's no practicality to it all now. They're when the banks are getting desperate, they're going to still need more loans, still need more business. And some of them might be shutting up shop, that kind of thing, to survive. But we're probably, as a consumer, having to look at bankruptcy as an option right now. And then we're going to be probably the homeless people outside the toilets at Frankton, that kind of thing. That's our future because of capitalism. And so if they are making it so that we have no choice, and so we have the Black Lives Matter marches, Antifa marches, that kind of thing, that is because America won't accept this financial collapse of the world, and they have to be punished. So these are world-funded institutions. You try and do a lockdown protest anywhere in the world, and you get locked up. But you do a Black Lives Matter and Antifa march, you're fine, because that's really a march for destroying capitalism. That's a march to destroy the businesses and burn down businesses, that kind of thing. And create the collapse. So that's why they're supporting Black Lives Matter and Antifa. That's why the police are standing down and standing by, why these things happen. And then I've told you about the globally elected cities, like in Victoria we have Melbourne, a globally elected city that's now in a democratically elected country, but they're running their own rules and they have their own private police, that kind of thing. And so that IMF list is kind of the list of what that city's got to do as well. And that's what happens when these cities get global. So this whole globalization is a takeover of the world. We've allowed this to happen. So in 2008, John Key, Helen Clark got together, created this United Nations, created us belonging to it, us adhering to the rules and the laws. That's when this happened for this country. Even though we consider those politicians traitors, we're 12 years later and this is the reality now, because they created that reality that we're in this global world. And America's not really in it. And it's part of the problem of why they want to destroy America. I mean, it got so bad they're using apps on phones and going out committing fires and wildfires. So what do? They say Antifa was doing this. And Joe Rogan came out and said, well, Antifa are creating wildfires and forest fires. He said one of the two. I can't remember which one. And then they attack him for fake news. Because for them, wildfires is not forest fires, or forest fires is not wildfires. I have no idea, because to me they lead to the same thing. Forest fires lead to wildfires. Wildfires is forest fires. And makes no sense. But this is where we're at. And this is the next thing. Journalism. So journalism is being attacked because the last thing they want is a freedom of press. A freedom of us saying no to vaccines. Hey, there was cures. That kind of thing. There are 4 cures with 4 conferences of doctors. All shut down by fake news media and World Health Organization, because World Health Organization represents health, because we've accepted this global body. We've accepted it because these politicians went against the people and did their own thing. They block voted it in, and in this country the 2 main parties got together, and then Helen Clark landed a good job there, Michael Moore landed a good job, and in UN as well. A whole bunch of people got big salaries. Now these salaries are $1 million plus. And as far as I know, Helen Clark was getting $2 million tax-free a year to work for United Nations, because United Nations is not considered part of the world, so they are tax-free. And that goes with the Vatican. All those guys are all tax-free because that's all charity, goes with London and goes with Washington as well. All tax-free places. And so we live in this world of deception right now. So we have press. One thing they want to control with capitalism is the press, because the last thing, they want to accept the global philosophy, and that's one thing they've been able to do, is control press. And so the press is more global than what they should be. They're not standing for nationalism, so it's very hard to find press that will be willing. And all these JSWs and everything else, and then you've got Project Mockingbird spies with CIA in media, controlling media. I've gone into this in a lot of depth in my other previous videos, but it just goes to show that we are being controlled right now. And one thing we can do is, as a Christian, we can read the Bible. I'm not a good Christian, by the way. That's another thing, is you know, if you're going to fall down flat on your face because someone is a Christian and they've done wrong, that's wrong. Read the Bible for yourself and pray to Jesus for yourself, because it's all that's going to happen. You can't rely on another guy to take you to church. You do it for yourself. Thanks all.